What's going on, you guys? All right, we're going to yip yap a little bit about the good old days of junkyards and swap meets. And nowadays, for you guys that are just starting off, you might be in your 20s, your 30s, and all that. And I'm sure a lot of you guys out there have done this stuff and went to the junkyards and went to swap meets. And we were just kind of talking about it after the old man picked up the new motor. And if you want to know more about that one, go on to Muscle Car Custom Garage and check that out, because we just put that one up on Tuesday. Anyways, when we were talking about this, it was like, gosh, you remember being able to go to swap meets and you would hunt for parts. There was no marketplace, there was no eBay. You know, there was Hemmings Motor News.
Yep.
And the Barton Corner.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you guys had it, but every Sunday, you know, when you'd look up like the movies, you know, what's out at Star Theater, 28th Street, and stuff like that, there was always the Barton Corner. And people would have sometimes cars, you know, well, we found transmissions, we found motors, you know, intake manifolds, all kinds of stuff. My first Camaro, the blue car, the blue car. That thing, oh my gosh, that had rust holes that big in it, but they had rust holes that you could probably fit a basketball in.
We tried to fix the wheel well just behind the door, and I couldn't find anything to weld on. I just kept trimming the rust away until there was nothing there. I wasn't going to fill it with foam or chicken wire.
I'm going to say we should do chicken wire, duct tape, and fill it with foam. But it was a great thing, and you always would look for, you know, a 350 or a 454 block and all that. And again, we were just kind of sitting there BSing about it, and it was like, remember when, let me backtrack this a little bit. My childhood was, we went to junkyards, swap meets, car shows, a little bit of the drag racing when I was young. Later on, that's all we do now. But that was it, and I didn't have a problem with it. I was with my dad, you know, and it was always, you know, being itty bitty. I'll throw a couple of pictures up of me in diapers working with the old man on the old 41 Chevy, and then there was another one I think with me
putting a transmission on a Judge engine.
Yeah, we were doing a 70, or Dad was doing a 70 GTO Judge, and we were putting it together. I mean, I didn't know what we were doing at the time. I was just helping to put a bolt in a hole, but I'll throw some of those pictures up. Mm-hmm. But being that big, it was outside T3s. So if we go to a junkyard, it was, I want outside T3s because those are the ones that burn out, and find me Vega steering wheels. And
because it was the same as what would come in a GT Chevelle or a Camaro. Everybody knows what the GT wheel was.
Yeah, your Vega wheel would be like the H pattern sideways with a little horn button, like a 79 Z28 steering wheel. It's the same that when they put it into a Vega, they put that wheel in everything, and those are really comfortable steering wheels.
I used to go to the Chevrolet dealer, and the little SS that would fit in the center of the steering wheel would be the one that would people want.
Or 72, 71?
71 or 2, maybe?
71 or 2 Chevelle SSs would have that wheel.
So we would clean the wheels up. I'd pay $5 for the wheels, and these pieces would cost like $3.50. Now I would take them to swap meets, you know, pop that new emblem in there, clean them all up and stuff, put it out on the table, and $25, just all day long. So I would bring along to a swap meet at least 5 or 6 or 7.
I would walk in
and sell
there.
every one of them.
I would walk in, well, even walking out of the swap meets, or not the swap meets, but the junkyards. I remember walking out, and you know, Dad would be like, "Hold your arms out," and I got my arms out like this, and it would just be steering wheels.
It wasn't quite that.
They're at the
It wasn't
best.
slave labor.
No, it wasn't slave labor, but at the best, if we'd find a bunch of wheels, and you'd find a red one, a blue one, a bunch of black ones, and it would be, you know, I'm going to be able to make some money off this thing, because back then, being able to go to junkyards and swap meets, and even when I started getting older, I was making good money off it too. Not like what you did, but, you know, Dad ended up paying the Lincoln house off within, 8 years?
When I bought my first house, I was 24, and I took out a 30-year mortgage, and I paid it off at 8.5 years by hustling, and finished college during that time, was working for my dad, finished college nights, and built and sold cars, did body work. We did transmissions and clutches. And
oh my God, how many times did you put in, like, all right, somebody wants power windows installed in their Grand Prix, their Monte Carlo, their Skylark, anything like that. And, you know, and the old man would go over there and he would install that stuff for people. And a lot of times you do it for yourself too, but just, it was whatever car you found. Hey, I got extra windows, or I have extra buckets and console, or I have this, or I have this.
And what people have to remember, in the 70s, partway through the 80s, if you had, let's say, I'm going to make this up now, a GTO, and you wanted to load it up with options, the options that were popular, and I made so much money it was indecent on some of this stuff.
Well, yeah, you paid for a house in 8 years.
An in-dash tack for a 69 through 72 GTO were all the same. I could buy those for $5 at a junkyard. I learned how to take them out in minutes, and I could sell them for anywhere from 25 to 50 as long as they worked. You know, and I knew how to check them. Dash pads with 4-speaker stereos.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
I sold so many of those to people in Arizona, California, and
Well, they
so
were so
on.
rotted.
They were so rotted.
Yeah.
Dashboard pads. Kalamazoo was like the first weekend in February, so I would prepare for that swap meet, and
You make a killing.
I can't even describe it. I would come home with so many 20s and 10s and 5s. A normal one for just one day, just one Saturday there, and I would usually leave about 2 because I was sold out. Typically, I would bring home anywhere from $1,200 to $1,500 in green money.
That's what I was going to ask you. I was going to say, for how much stuff you brought, say the value of whatever you brought to how much you made.
Oh, a $5 steering wheel, like we just said, would pull 20, the Vega wheels. That was just like a moneymaker. That was good for like $120, $40, $160. That was just gravy, and that was only $5 per wheel.
Tilt wheel, or tilt column.
A tilt column, no junkyard cared that you took the column out, as long as it had the key. If I would buy a tilt column, sometimes they would charge me 10, typically 5. I could take out a tilt column start to finish in like 6 or 7 minutes. I had the right tools, I knew right what to do, and you would always include as much of the wiring as you could in those days, especially on a tack and gauge. I know I'm drifting here, but let's say a 69 Chevelle tack and gauge panel, I knew exactly how to take them out, and I would take everything all the way down to the fuse box. So I would disconnect it under the hood, but I would take that fuse box, and if I did that with a tack and gauge panel, and
You could ask what you want. And you had the key?
no, we're talking about the tack and gauges right now.
Oh, okay.
I'm still on that. $10 sometimes. Oh, you want those gauges? $10. Can I take the wiring? Yeah, go ahead. $10. I would sell those for $250 if the tack worked. And sometimes, you know, you'd find one that had a good tack, and you just hoard it. Especially, I don't
If you
think
had
I
a good
found
car.
a 6,000 RPM 69 Chevelle tack is gold. I could charge anything I wanted for that. If I found a hood tack anywhere,
Oh,
because
yeah.
there were no reproductions,
You had a bunch of those. I remember.
I found one in the box one time, a GSX hood tack. Everybody knows what a GSX is, I hope. A GSX hood tack. And I didn't sell it because I was building a GSX clone, and I kept it.
Was that the green card or the burgundy card?
Burgundy color.
Burgundy card.
Okay, going back to the tilt. Tilt wheel was $5 or $10. Sometimes they just was like, you know, not
As long
for
as you
free.
don't rip it out of the car, you know, but you would get what for that?
125.
Yeah. So at that point, I mean, you're literally making 10 times what you paid for it.
Easily.
We can't do that anymore nowadays. But now, I mean, if you could do that now, would you? Like I say, hit us down in the comments if you would do that. You pull a tack out of a car, and all of a sudden it's like I can sell it for 10 times the amount that I'm doing now. Any one of us car guys would do it in a freaking heartbeat. Good money.
Literally every month we could make on an average 10 house payments from our selling on Hemmings and a swap meet for that particular month.
And it was awesome. And growing up with that, then we moved it into cars. And then when I told you guys before, the old man's had hundreds and hundreds of cars.
Yeah.
The old man has had hundreds and hundreds of cars. I mean, we were known as the house with all the cars. I mean, that's just how we had it. We used to do car shows at our house where there would be like, 30 plus cars. I mean, we'd fill the yard. We'll show you guys that one.
Yeah.
But it was just kind of reminiscing about that. You guys hit us down in the comments. I'd love to hear from some of the old swap meet guys, junkyard guys and stuff like that. you know, and what did you hunt for? What was some of the golden treasures that you guys found that maybe you still have? Like the old man still has the rosewood wheel. What is it that you kept that you're like, I am getting rid of that. I'm keeping this. I'd be kind of curious down in the comments for that one. But yeah, I just wanted to go over it, or we both wanted just to kind of go over it and kind of touch base and reminisce about the good old days of junkyarding and being able to do some of the swap meets. So you guys have yourselves a good one. Don't forget to go check out Muscle Car channel if you want to see some of the work that's going on. If you want to see a little bit more on that bad boy right there, that's the new engine combination going in Redbird back there.
Redbird 20.
Yeah, the old SR20 Redbird there.
SR20, yeah.
So if you guys like, some of you guys are, let's just say military-ish, and you like the SR71 Blackbird, which the old man has a little soft spot for, then you might understand what the SR20 Redbird behind us is. If you don't, go check out that episode. So anyways, you guys, till we meet again, my friends, catch you on the next one.
Adios.